There we go. Hey everybody, this is Doug Dawson. You're listening to Caffeinated Campaigns podcast, the show where we put marketing and growth failures on a pedestal for anyone that touches leads, conversions, and revenue. Today I'm talking to Jeff Staats, the CMO of Haley Marketing Group, and introduced here from one of our prior speakers, Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. Glad to have you here, Jeff. We like to start off with giving you a bit of a background of who you are, where you came from, what you're doing, what your company does. So just so people get a feel for you, and then we'll go into the subject there. So Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting on here, and thanks to Heidi again. She seems to be the connector, so it's great. Yeah. So I'm sort of the OG in marketing. So I've been in marketing for over 20 years. Actually started off as a stockbroker. I graduated college in 2000. And I thought, you know what, there's going to be a crash coming in 2001. Maybe I prognosticated it. I don't know. But I was like, yeah, let's be a stockbroker. And, found out I couldn't sell. Loved marketing. I went to school for marketing. I loved all about it. And when I was a broker, I loved the marketing aspect of it. But I couldn't sell. So I was like, all right, I'm going back to marketing. So I was basically in corporate America, telecom, insurance, predictive maintenance, pet insurance. Credit union marketing. So I was in all that stuff, doing that for a while, learned about, the metrics of marketing and how to work with departments and how to put campaigns together, manage millions of dollars of budgets or whatever. And then I actually did a little bit on the consulting side and then got my way into staffing. And I've been in staffing industry for about 6 years. Started with a tech startup here in Cleveland that was born out of a staffing company. Started there, was head of marketing for a little bit, and then actually the staffing company Talent Launch, which is what made this product, actually asked me to be head of marketing for them. So we had about 10 brands under that umbrella, about it was about 150 million in revenue, something like that, and managing all the aspects of marketing. And then through my staffing industry experience, met the co-CEOs of Haley Marketing, where I'm currently at right now. We just kept in touch over time. And, my background, I love strategy. I love, lead generation. I love marketing automation. I'm a data dork when it comes to that stuff. I love it. Love it. But I've been on all the platforms like Unica, which is no longer around anymore. Like I was in all the marketing automation platforms. So one of the things we wanted to do at Haley Marketing was create why don't we spin up an automation services consultancy for staffing? Staffing industry tends to be laggards in technology, and now things are kind of ramping up. So we figured, hey, I'll come on board as chief marketing officer, drive the brand, drive awareness, help with the lead generation and growth, but then also spin up this automation services consultancy as part of part of our service offering. So we're the largest agency in the staffing industry. And we have so many products. They all fit right under what you're talking about, and a lot of failures. I'm sort of the king of failures in my career, so I can probably talk for about an hour to 2 to 5 about all the failures I've done.
Just keep going and keep going.
Yeah,
and keep
man.
Going.
Yeah, well, people are gonna be tuning off like real quick. So, But yeah, thank you again for having me on.
Well, great. Well, let's hop into it. I guess we'll start at the top. You think things that had the most impact on your career, and then we'll just work our way down it.
So yeah, I think so. I'll tell you from a success standpoint, the things that what drove me in my career, I think were a couple things. It was always believing marketing had a seat at the table. Like a lot of companies, marketing is kind of tucked under. And, it's like, sales drives the business, operations drives the business, somebody else drives the business, and marketing's sort of along for the ride. I always believed that marketing had a seat at the table. And because of that, I always wanted to work with all the players. I always was the connector between finance and sales and operations and all that stuff. And that was a big driver, especially as I moved up in my careers. I always had that eye on like, guys, marketing needs to drive this. Like, here's what we need to do. And a lot of times marketing people, I am one, like we're in silos. We put a campaign out and then we're done. Like nobody cares. And, and what stunk about that is that the typical response was marketing doesn't understand our business. Marketing doesn't know what drives the business. And so that was when I would always really put my eye on that and really focus on how, where's the business going? How does marketing get a seat at that table? And I'll tell you about failures, but and then the other thing that really, really drove my career, is a focus on results and testing.
Okay.
Like let's launch, measure, optimize, repeat, launch, measure, optimize, repeat. Like it was always like having an eye on those metrics, whatever they were, the vanity ones, the real ones, like we always had an eye on that. And I think those two things for me, because right now marketing, again, there's a disconnect between business and marketing. Like they seem to be moving. A lot of times marketing isn't driving the right things for the business. And because of that, you get that, like, I don't like marketing. I don't feel that marketing's valuable. And what I always did was try that. So, and really believe in what we could do and how we could drive the business and then show them the results. Guys, this is what it's doing. Here's our numbers, here's our metrics, here's our leads, here's our, revenue, here's our ROI. So that was key. Yeah. But of course,
I would say to add to that, it's especially prevalent in B2B marketing. Mm-hmm. B2C marketing is easier to get a seat at the table because you know how to you got to talk to your customers, you got to do all that. But in B2B marketing, everybody goes to cold email, cold calls, and things like that, and it's hard to find the stride in B2B marketing, and so people give up and they say, you know what, we can't do it, so we got to hire a huge sales team. Yeah,
right.
But like you said, you get a seat at the table and you work on it, you grind on it, and it has the same effect.
Well, in the B2B, so the B2C, it fuels me. I love doing like D2C, B2C, whatever, because it was like when I was in telecom, we drop an email, we drop direct mail. I'd go sit in the sales, like in the call center, and be like, all right, what do we do? And I'm looking at numbers. I'm like, what are people calling on? So you got that immediate gratification. But to your point, like the B2B side, the problem is it's the sales process. I mean, I've been in companies where the sales process was 30 days. I've been in companies where the sales process is 2 years. And that's the thing is you drop something, you get really excited about a campaign, and then it's like crickets. And then you kind of look and you're like, what's up? Like, did you get a lead? Like, did you? And a lot of times it's inbound. Like if you're doing it right, it's inbound marketing. So you're putting a piece out, you're putting an ebook out, you're putting download out. And, with sales, it's all about what have you done for me lately? Or it's like, what's happening right now? And so they're like, they're just, okay, well, I'm moving on to the next thing. Like that didn't do anything. I'm moving on to the next thing. And then as a marketer, you have to be like the hype man. Like you got to be like, yo, like we got to make sure that this is a campaign that we're running. What's happening? What are you guys doing? Get the feedback. I learned that, I'll tell you, to the failures point of view, I learned that too, like late in my career, like getting sales involved early was one thing. It took me probably 7-8 years to really grasp that. And I'll tell you, I fell into that trap where I was dropping a campaign, boom, okay, great, move on to the next one, drop a campaign, boom. And I didn't have that sales champion. And that is, in B2B marketing, that's a huge mistake, because if you don't have a champion in sales that's a marketing champion, you're never going to do it, because you got to have somebody on your side to be able to say like, yeah, this worked, or I followed the process. Because that's the biggest thing is like drop an email. Dude, I need you to call. I need you to send a personal email. I need you to do a LinkedIn in-mail. I have this thing that I want you to do. And if you're not on them, I'll tell you, 99% of the time that the campaign failed. And I have evidence of it. I was like, oh, man, like it's so bad. Because again, that sales process is so long.
Yeah. And that sales marketing integration it's key. And a lot of people fail at that because it becomes people management rather than marketing management, and people they just want to stay away from that. It's like, you know what? I dropped my campaign. I did what I was supposed to do. I'm going to leave it over there for them. But it's not about that. It's like driving results for the company. Yep. So like you said, standing up and vouching for yourself as a marketing person, stepping over this, like, hey, marketing and sales need to interact. We're dropping this campaign. We need you guys to follow up this, that, and the third with your own leads, because we're trying to help you drive revenue.
Right. And to that point, that's probably mistake number 2 is, again, number 1 is like, when we talk about this conversation or this example, I guess, is, not finding that sales champion. That's key. Like who's somebody that's really going to follow your process. But mistake number 2 is like having those tough conversations, having those revenue-based conversations, I always called them. It was always like, guys, I'm not here to attack you. Like, and I would always say, guys, we're dropping this campaign, this whatever this is, and it's got great email. Like, we've got strong call to action. We've got value-based marketing. Like, we've got it all. I need you to follow up because this email is not going to do it alone. And, you got to have those things. Like, it's a win-win. Like if it drives leads and you follow the process, you make money. If it doesn't, then you can tell me it's my fault and it's not going to work. And either way, you win. But you got to be able to have those tough conversations. And marketers tend, it's a personality thing, but you got to be able to stick to it and say, like, what's going on? Like, I need you to follow this process, because inevitably, no matter how strong that bond is, they got other stuff going on, and if you want to have a strong marketing campaign, like, if you don't have them, like, you got to always be like, hey guys, and, but you also have to be, be pretty strong and be, objective, in those discussions. And I need you to follow the process. What's happening? Where's the feedback? What's going on? Not, don't be afraid to have those conversations. Definitely.
And I think a lot of people are, and they're afraid because, like, they don't necessarily have a revenue target to hit as an individual. They don't have quota. They're not on commission. And, if a salesperson's having a bad week, you coming to them for feedback, it might end up wrong.
Oh, you're going to get more than that. You're going to get a lot of swear words. You're going to get a lot of, like, it's your fault for this. It's your fault I expressed this. But that's also outlining expectations is key, because I think that sales and marketing handoff, there's still a gray line. There's still, like, when you get deep into those organizations, again, I know we're probably talking B2B, which I think there's just more there. There's more things that can break there than B2C. But, like, I think outlining expectations. What does marketing do? What does, where's the handoff? And then what do I expect from you to do after that? And then also it's into those definitions. What's an MQL? What's an SQL? Like, what did we do to drive it? Because, you're writing all these campaigns, you're writing these emails. It's awesome to you. Like, oh my God, I wrote this. This is really clever. This has got a great hook. Yeah. We're telling a story. We're getting people excited. And then you deliver it. And it's like, okay, well, what is the salesperson supposed to do? Like, where should they follow up? And if you don't outline those things, mistake number 3, I didn't put an outline together a lot of times when I was younger. My God, like, I don't have the what's next. I don't have the what does sales needs to do. It's all in my head. I expect I'm manifesting it somewhere out of the air, but it's like, I don't have it down, and I'm not ahead of the game with that, because if I don't have that, boom, like, it blows up. It's just, I've had some crash and burns campaigns. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, and to your point there with that outline, you can present it to the sales team, and they start to say, hey, at this point, I'm shooting you a lead. And the CTA is to talk to you. The CTA is to do this, do this downloadable. And they know that in the next 6 days, we're shooting out 4 emails, and 3 of these emails are going to be trying to get a call on. So it's like that's a quick way to get in that buy-in. It's like, hey, we're not just shooting stuff into the wind. We're shooting stuff to generate activity for you. And if you act on the activity, boom, you have a higher commission.
Right. Like 9 times out of 10, and for your watchers, your listeners of this podcast or whatever, like, if the marketer can be uber successful, may move up in the ranks, whatever that is, if they would just put that outline together, that strategy document together. I've talked to so many marketers over my career that, they say, hey, we just launched this huge campaign, blah, blah, blah. I go, great. What's next? What's the strategy? Like, those simple definitions, like, this is my strategy. These are my goals. These are the this is the offer, or multiple offers. Like, this is the trigger. Like, and then what do I expect? What do I want sales to do? And then again, what's next? Because I think I've missed that almost up until maybe 5 years ago, is the what's next. Because there's that whole, like, CRO mentality, that funnel mentality of maybe they're not ready to go to sales. So then what's next after you have them do one offer? There's other things that need to go on. And if you don't write all of that down as a strategy document, it doesn't need to be a book or anything like that. I call it my one pager. Like, and I kind of take it from the Jack Welch. I'm a big fan of Jack Welch and GE and everything. And, like, it was your strategy should be 1 page. You should be able to fit into that 1 page what your marketing plan, your marketing strategy should be, your business strategy, whatever. And so I try to fit everything I can into one sheet, because people are lazy. They don't want to read. They don't want to do, like, Give them what they need to know and get it done, because you will exponentially make your campaigns better. Because this is just, and even on the B2C side too. I mean, have that strategy document done for every campaign you're putting together. Just put it together, because you will be amazed at the gaps that you have. You'll be amazed at the process oops that you have. Like, well, oh my God, like, you know what? We need to change this and this. Like, and just taking the time, I didn't do that. And like, I probably could have been more validated in my career quicker if I would have done that. But it took me some time. It took me a lot of like, why did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just thought this was what was going to happen. Because everybody thinks success. Everybody thinks like, oh, this campaign's going to be awesome. We're going to do 3 emails. I'm going to get this open rate. I'm going to get this click. And then like, it's great. But then you don't really have a plan B or C or D or anything that, like, what if it doesn't? So yeah, that's been a big, having that opportunity to be able to script it out is huge.
Like I said, those gaps, scripting that out forces you to be a big picture thinker. And that's one of the biggest development points for almost every employee, every person that's reported to me is like, hey, how can you connect what you're doing to everything else that's happening? Doing that strategy doc is like, okay, you're thinking, what's next? How does this, what's the trickle down effect? And it's just like, all right, I'm sitting this campaign, but we have 3 other campaigns coming out next week. Does the messaging connect? Because we don't have that disconnect, or sales just dropped this big downloadable that I'm not even talking about. They dropped it yesterday. Like, so it's like you start to think of that bigger picture, what's going on outside of your role, and it goes back to what you said. You'll rise a lot quicker because now you're starting to involve other people. You're making connection, and you're having a bigger impact. And all it takes is for you to sit and say, step 1, I'm sending this. Step 2, I want them to take this action. And what does this action mean for the business?
Right. I mean, and again, like, if you want to take it to the next level, it's marketing automation. And so you're creating all these lead gen campaigns, and you're creating all this stuff, and you're working with somebody like you. Hey man, I need you to, script the best email campaign. Here's what I'm trying to achieve, blah, blah, blah. If you don't have the right directions, if you don't know what's happening, overall, like I've done it before where I'm like, oh my God, I sent this person this, and then they also received this other campaign because maybe they weren't out of that, or they were getting this mixed message. And then you end up, hammering these people with 5 different emails, and you're not achieving the main objective that you want to go after. And then unfortunately you look, go 10,000 foot up to your leadership team. You are now like the unorganized marketer, and you don't want to be the unorganized marketer. Trust me, because it'll matter how fast you run. And I'm a big believer in speed wins. Like, I think marketing should be like a startup. Like, you should be always doing this, but you have to have a script or a plan. And if you don't, then you are the fast moving marketer that fails at everything. And, first thing you can do is script that stuff out. Where do you want these people to go? What are the definitions? What are some of the things that, when you talk about high performance marketing or performance based marketing, having that strategy doc is your like key to success. You will rise up. And I mean, I follow a bunch of people like Dave Gerhardt, who's Exit 5, and he was CMO of Drift. I think he's a really smart guy, younger than me. All the smart people are younger than me, but whatever. But like, I mean, you look at that, and it's storytelling and it's strategy. Like, having those things scripted out of your head, down on paper, digital paper, whatever. That's the key. Like, you will be uber successful in your campaigns, in your career, everything.
Makes sense. You have me think of like all the things that I need to be writing down myself. Stuff stuck in your head, right?
Honestly, I follow like 50% of my own advice. So like, but I try to. I mean, it all sounds good coming out, but it is like I mean, we run at Haley Marketing. We run. Like, so I call, the way that I run my marketing campaigns when I put a calendar together is I've got my air cover, which is my brand. Like, how am I telling the story of my brand? And that could be many different campaigns, but that's ongoing. And then you've got your drops. What are your targeted direct marketing, campaigns that you're running, to drive product or to drive, customer life cycle type stuff. Like, hey, they're a client, I need to delight them or whatever. Any one time we have, 10 campaigns running. And if I don't know what's going on with how those campaigns are running and who's receiving what, like you have to write it down. And, it may be an Excel doc for some people. It may be a PowerPoint for others. It may be a Word doc for others. But if you don't write it down, it's just like I talk about with like marketing automation. If you don't have a process, you're not going to find your gaps. If you don't find your gaps, you can't plug them. And like, that's what you want to be able to do. That's how efficiency runs. So you got to start by writing it all down. What does it all mean? And, again, I learned it late, but I'm a huge advocate of it because I see the power in just taking the time to write it all down. How does it all fit in your marketing and then in the business? And then you can start finding, what do we need to focus on? Where are the disconnects that we have to clear up? Because you might end up going to, it might not just be marketing and sales. You might be talking to finance. You might be talking to operations. You might be talking to customer success. You might be you got to start creating those. And I worked for Cox Communications, telecom, and we had 7 stakeholder departments that we had to have marketing communications with. And so you were always, every time you had a quarterly campaign change, I'm writing all these different things for all these different departments. And it was a pain in the butt. I hated doing it, but like, I knew everything that was going on. Like, I remember, I'm like, my VP of marketing was like, I need you to do this, like, we got to go tell finance this. We got to go tell field ops this. We got to go tell sales this. We got to have this ready. I'm like, this sucks. I hate quarterly campaigns. Like, I hate it. But like, I will tell you, I never not knew what was happening. And like,
and that's important.
You don't become the unorganized marketer, because I know a lot of unorganized marketers. We're all philosophers. We suck at like documentation. We suck at it.
Oh yeah. That was me a good 5 years ago, because I didn't know the importance. I figured you write the email, you send the email out, and you do what you need to do.
Right. Well, I'm the idea guy. Trust me. I'll give you like 17 different emails you should be going after. And then like, you ask me 5 minutes later, I'll be like, I don't even remember what I just said. It becomes that like old school when Will Ferrell just did like, the rebuttal. And like, honestly, that'll be me. Like I tell people, I'm like, I will never be able to say this the same way again. Never be able to do it. But like, if you write it down, like if you like, don't make that mistake, because a lot of marketers, they get an idea, they get a target audience in their head, and then they go right to the solution. Like, I'm going to, 3 emails, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Yep. Boom. Everything's great. I'm going to have a huge, but they have nothing else ready. What happens if? What happens if? What happens if?
Yeah.
What if it sucks? Like even part of that, like, what if the campaign sucks? What do you do? Like, do you
what do you do? What's the follow-up? What's the rebuttal?
Yeah. Like, do you continue with it? Do you cut it? Do you what do you do? Like, and a lot of people don't have it. They just assume it's going to be good.
They assume it's going to be good. And the thing is, like, add on top of that, I've learned that you need a process to learn from failure. Yeah. And it's like, when the market campaign was just trash, you had a 5% open rate compared to like an 80% open rate, or you had a 100% open rate and no sales. Like, what how can you learn from that and not make that same mistake again, instead of just, scrapping it and moving on to the next thing? Because it's a high chance that you're going to do the same thing over again if you don't take the time and do like a retro of where did this idea come from, where did we mess up that we didn't get this going.
I'll tell you, like, I guess I add another mistake. I feel like now you're exposing all of my mistakes, and I don't know if I like that anymore. but like I will say, and I wouldn't do this on every campaign. I do it on a major campaign, whether it's a quarterly campaign, maybe you're putting some money or some paid behind it or whatever. But having a campaign debrief, win or lose, is huge. Like, and I learned that like way too late. Like, and because it's funny, I used to teach a class at University of Akron here called Design to Sell, and it was all about how design needs to be the business of design. So how do you get creative designers, graphic designers to think business, and then how do you get marketers, business people to think design, and what are those ways that you can do that to create remarkable, powerful campaigns? And the biggest thing is what creative people complain about, and I'll just put it to creative people, probably copywriters as well, is what did the campaign do? Like, you don't even give them that. Like, if you don't, like, okay, you see it and you're like, oh my God, I had 10% open rate. I had, 2 leads. They didn't do anything. Well, okay, number one, what do you got to fix? But then number two, what do you need to say? What is you need to have a debrief to say, hey guys, whoever worked on this campaign, no fault of anybody's, but we dropped the ball. Either the messaging didn't work, the creative didn't work, something didn't work. But having those conversations and putting everybody in the room that created the campaign is huge, because you're right. Everything we do is we get excited about creation, and then we launch, and then we want to create something else, and then we launch, and then we want to create something else, and we launch. And then we only look at it at the end of the year when it becomes the, what did you do for me lately from the business? Like, I gotta put my marketing strategy together. It's like, well, what did your campaigns do? Like, oh crap, I better look at those. And then you just start you're like, oh my God, like, yeah, that sucked. Oh my God, did that suck? Like, man, we could, like, I really thought, like, because again, we're just all about launching.
Yeah. I mean, and then you end up flying blind, whether you like it or not. You are flying blind because you're launching. You're never learning. You're never improving. You're never seeing if you're, just spraying and playing. Versus people that actually take the time. We launch and we say, like, all right, we expected this to happen. Did it happen? Yes or no? Why? And it's not even like you don't have to do a full hour-long retrospective. Did it happen? Yes or no? And I find a lot of people that in marketing, especially in like some of the performance stuff, it's pretty easy to attach metrics. You had a poor open rate. It's obviously the subject line. You had a poor click-through rate. Obviously, it was the CTA or the read-through. We talk about emails. We talk about an ad. We have a lot of impressions, no clicks. We can clearly sort of say, like, this particular part of the campaign is supposed to do this one thing and connect the dots. So all you got to do is look at it, and you diagnose it, and that's what you improve on next.
Right. And I'll tell you, from a performance marketing standpoint, I mean, that gets you your champion challenger. That gets you the, whether you want to take a pivot on that. I will tell you, I mean, the simple thing that I've done in our marketing campaigns and our marketing program is, like, literally, what's working? Let me know. Like, what worked in this campaign? What didn't work in this campaign? And if you were me, what would you do for the next campaign? And you'll get people, like, it's kind of a marketing research, kind of, not necessarily lead the witness, but it's more of that, like, if you were me, if you were running the department, what would you do different in this campaign? And what you want to do is you want to be able to get people's insight, because there could be a copywriter that, again, you don't know if they're thinking marketing, because you just pigeonhole them into that function. But if you can get the team together and you can say, guys, like, here's, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, beyond the metrics, like, what did we do to make this thing work or not? And then you can say, all right, if anything, you come out with a better campaign, you come out with more insights, and that bodes well to be able to, like, keep moving. Because our problem is we just keep launching. We just keep going. And we don't have the time. The marketer who's going to win, especially in today's environment, when so many impressions and so many, like, recalls of different marketing, what does it say? It takes 12 or 13 touches to get somebody to react. Yeah. Like, in this environment, if you could measure that, if you could quarterback all of that and be fast, but also be calculated and have the processes of your campaign coordination in place early, you win. Like, the marketer that is the organized marketer wins. And hands down, because there's just too much going on and too much responsibility in everybody's hands to really be able to take a step back. It's like stepping out of a moving train. Like, that's what I call strategy. Is like, hold on, the business is running, but I need to step out and kind of work on the business. Nobody has time for that. And it's like, but somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to, and the marketing leader needs to, or the aspiring one needs to.
Yeah, and like you said, if you have the documentation, you encourage people to think bigger. You help people connect the dots. Copywriter thinks like, hey, thinks design thinks copy, business thinks design and copy, creative, and you just have those conversations. And even if you're not in the leadership position, call a meeting and say, like, hey guys, let's think about this as a holistic, and you'll improve other people. I read something the other day where this one guy tweeted, he's the CEO of this company, and he said he got to where he was because he made other people successful. Yep. So if you are organized in marketing from a strategist perspective, your job is really to make your copywriter successful, your designer successful, your all the other people around you successful, and then it reflects back on you because you're the guy that's coordinating herding cats.
Right. It's the servant leader concept. I mean, that's really, as a marketer, like, there's the rah-rah marketer, there's the hype man or woman marketer, there's the heads down, I don't think about anything else marketer. I mean, all those can be successful, may be successful, whatever. but it's the marketing quarterback, for lack of a term. I mean, that person is the person that exposes, the greatness in other people. And it's all about, potential and living up to your potential. And I learned that a lot with one of our founders at Talent Launch. It was all about the power of potential. But the idea is you got to have somebody unlock it. You got to have somebody, like, as a marketer, you need to be organized. Your systems have to be organized, that you can say, like, I know who's writing this campaign. Like, we are learning from this failure. We are working well with other teams. Like, you got to have all that stuff down. And I wish I would have learned it 10 years earlier. And I didn't. I was the heads down marketer that was like, I'm doing my stuff. I'm doing my, my thing, whatever. But, once you start figuring that out and you're organized and you have all this stuff in place, like, it's amazing what you can do. It's amazing how fast you can move, how fast you can pivot, and how fast you can spin new campaigns up.
Yeah, you definitely. And, thinking about it, I have been that heads down marketer up until about maybe a year ago, because like I have such a broad range of skill sets that I show up at startups, I just take on marketing, I just do everything. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm isolated. I'm writing copy, I'm doing design, I'm sending campaigns, I'm handling the technology. And what I realized when I started, my entrepreneurship journey, about a year or two ago, me being a heads down marketer, I have no network. Nobody knows what I've done because I just did it in isolation. There's nothing, there's no connections to people. And I haven't helped anybody, so therefore nobody else want to help me. So it's like, all right, now let me flip the script and just go out and just try to teach people what I've done, because I'm good at what I do. And then, like, hey, let me teach you, help you. And it's just come back 100-fold. Just as like, that I've put out copy for helping out. I do free work for people. I connect with all this good stuff. And, this is a little bit going from a, marketing failure to like a career failure. But building other people from a market perspective, career perspective, just life perspective is it's amazing. It's amazing what happens.
Yeah.
Like we need connections.
Yeah, it's rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, it's really that. And again, you see the most successful leaders, marketers, whatever have you, like on LinkedIn, are the ones that are giving free advice. They're working, they're identifying ways to help, and then they're identifying their skill set and then trying to get others. And the whole point is, like, you teach people as much as you can about the specific skill, or the specific campaign, or you give them advice, and inevitably they're going to come back to you, because again, you're able to give them. You're not putting anything out there and like, well, you know what, if you pay me $500, I'll tell you. They're not going to do that crap. Like, we're in an age now where there's just too much to know. So, like, trying to hold all that back behind a gated wall or something like that is idiotic. I mean, we've, the sooner, and you said heads down, like, the quicker we can be heads up, and, be heads up in everything that we're doing. And I've seen podcasts like yours be so successful just because they're exposing a little piece of that marketing or that journey or whatever. And the idea is, like, people connect to it. And, that's what you want to do, is you want to, and it avoids, it avoids either somebody failing because they just read something about it, or it exposes, like, man, I could be failing. Like, here's what I'm doing. So, like, that's the part of it that I think we need to do as marketers is kind of teach people. And I teach at local universities, because I'm like, marketers have no training. Like, you are beholden to your first boss. And if your first boss stinks, because there's so much to do in marketing, if your first boss isn't very good, or is heads down and isn't willing to train and just kind of slots you in, that negatively impacts your career journey. Like, and I've seen it, because if you're like, hey, I'm a social media coordinator. Okay, well, what are you learning? Like, I don't know. I'm supposed to go do this, and this. I'm like, well, are you learning anything? No. Well, then what are you going to do? What's your next, what's your second job? Right. And so I think that the sooner that we can get marketing, we can get, like, and a lot of these skills are soft skills. They're organization. Like, the sooner we can get our thoughts down on paper and get everything sort of done, ready, the quicker we can be, the quicker we can pivot, and then the better those campaigns are going to be. Like I said, I learned too late. I'm now doing it, which is good. But, I mean, it took me a good 10 years to really learn a lot of those lessons.
Yeah. And the goal of this podcast, like you're saying, is to shortcut that time for people. We don't have to sit there and struggle by ourselves under a bad boss. We can listen to a podcast, read something, and somebody's like, hey, you don't have to live this way. And they're like, okay. And now you can rise above your situation because you now are getting pseudo mentorship from somebody that's willing to expose what they did wrong.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is, and you're right. I mean, a lot of people, pat their own backs and, I did this. I was able to do this. I took, our company from 1 million to 10 million ARR, and that's great. Inevitably, you failed. Like everybody fails. Like, and you did something wrong. But it's the idea of like, what can you do to like, how does that failure shape, what you're doing now? Because again, it's that fail forward mentality. And so as a marketer, like, you could have bad campaigns, like whatever. Everybody has bad campaigns. Not everyone's a home run. But, what can you do? Like, what can you do to shorten that failure process to getting a home run on a campaign? And that's the idea. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to correct it, you're done. And I've seen it. And you see those lateral moves of like, I'm a marketing manager. Now I'm a marketing manager at this company. I'm a marketing manager at that company. I'm a marketing manager. All these lateral moves, like if you're not moving up, there's something going on. Like, because something's it's just going on. And you got to be able to figure that out. So too many failures. Now you've exposed them all. Now I'm going to go cry for the rest of the day.
No. But the thing is, you've learned from them, and you're doing something different now, man. Like,
man.
Success. Like we say, it's failing forward. Forward.
Right.
All right. So I always like to wrap it up by, and we probably already said it before, but if you could say one thing to somebody listening to this, what would it be?
If I could say one thing to anybody listening to this, I would say be organized. Be organized in your marketing. You said it
before. That's the thing.
Organized. Be the organized marketer, man. I mean, it will do wonders for you. 100%.
All right. Well,
cool.
Everybody, thank you for listening in. And this was Jeff Staats from Haley Marketing Group. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.